Welcome to this explainer. Have you ever actually stopped to think about how you type a text message? Or maybe how fast you walk down the street? What about how quickly you eat your lunch? It turns out our seemingly mundane, everyday physical habits are actually a kind of secret language. They reveal some incredibly fascinating psychological truths about who we are and exactly how we feel. So today, we're unpacking the science behind our daily habits, from our walking speed to our eating patterns, and exploring the hidden mechanics of your own mind. Let's kick things off with Section 1, the psychology of moving fast. It turns out our literal physical speed is intimately connected to our internal emotional state. Like, think about your own texting habits for a second. Do you type faster when you're messaging someone you actually like? Okay, let's dive into this, because the psychology behind your keyboard habits is pretty wild.
The research shows that, most people absolutely do type faster when they're interacting with someone they have affection for. That crazy flurry of keystrokes? It isn't just you being eager to hit send. It's an actual subconscious physical reaction. Your brain is essentially mashing the gas pedal on your fine motor skills just because of the positive emotional stimulus on the other side of the screen.
And hey, this need for speed translates off our digital screens as well. Think about walking speed. People who walk at a quicker pace are generally seen as happier and way more confident than those who walk slowly. The literal velocity of your steps projects an inherent state of well-being to the world around you. It's basically an external broadcast of your internal confidence.
Moving right along to Section 2, how you eat matters. Now, we just said moving fast projects confidence, right? Well, speed isn't always your friend, especially at the dinner table. Our consumption patterns actively alter our bodies, and the faster you eat, the more you tend to gain weight. This simple, completely unconscious daily habit has huge physical consequences. When you speed eat, you are fundamentally changing how your body processes fuel and manages its own weight. But obviously, it's not just how fast you eat, it's what you eat. And this brilliantly illustrates how food alters the mind. Eating bananas, for instance, can literally make a person happier. When you eat a banana, it introduces tryptophan into your system, which then gets converted directly into serotonin. And serotonin is that magic key hormone that stabilizes our mood and feelings of well-being. So by keeping up this daily habit, you are quite literally eating your way to a better mood.
Which brings us to Section 3, the science of smiling.
Get ready for a pretty mind-blowing stat about our outward social habits. There is a massive difference in how often we smile. The average woman smiles about 60 times a day, while the average man smiles only 10 times a day. That is a huge contrast. It really highlights just how differently we unconsciously navigate our everyday social interactions. And these expressions carry some serious social weight. Making someone laugh or smile actually makes you appear more attractive to them. Plus, you can judge a ton about a person's character just by paying attention to what they laugh at.
Oh, and my absolute favorite one here. People who blush easily are found to be more generous and trustworthy. That involuntary flush of color on your cheeks, it's basically a physical marker of honesty.
But human psychology is a giant puzzle, and not everyone embraces happiness in the same way. Consider cherophobia. This is literally the fear of being too happy, all because of this nagging thought that something tragic will inevitably happen. It's a highly specific, totally fascinating condition where the brain is terrified of the very happiness and smiling we were just talking about, always anticipating a crash right after the high.
All right, on to Section 4, the hidden meaning of emotions.
Our bodies are constantly, subconsciously, coping with sadness, pain, and longing. And one of the biggest ways our emotions manifest physically is through our sleep habits. Happy people actually require less sleep to function in everyday life. Their energized state just sustains them. Conversely, being sad actively increases your urge to sleep more. Your body's literal physical response to emotional distress is to try and shut down so it can recover. Emotional pain hides itself in other really deep ways too. For instance, 80% of women choose silence to express pain. So if she chooses to ignore you, it usually means she is truly hurt. We also see that crying is just how your body responds when your mouth literally couldn't possibly explain the pain you're feeling. And what about that mood where absolutely everything irritates you? Psychology indicates that you are actually just missing someone. Your brain is translating that longing into daily irritability. All of this sets up a really fascinating psychological paradox. People who hide their feelings often care the most. Bottling up emotions isn't always a sign of apathy or being detached. Actually, scratch that. It's very often an indicator of a profound, underlying level of empathy that a person is just desperately trying to manage or protect. Let's try a super quick experiment together.
Read this on the screen. You really love him or her? I'm willing to bet that even though no specific name was mentioned just now, a very specific person popped right into your head, didn't they? That's your subconscious brain instantly connecting the abstract concept of deep emotion to your own personal attachments.
This leads us to our final part, Section 5, Rewiring Your Brain.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how our mindset and our environmental habits actively restructure our psychological makeup. It's crazy how external inputs physically shape our minds. Playing video games, for example, actually makes you more creative. Music is incredibly potent too. 70% of people like old songs simply because of the memories attached to them. In fact, people remember information they can relate to a memory and easily forget what they don't like. We also totally absorb the emotions of others. When you truly care for someone, their mood can literally affect yours. And maybe the most important one here, the way we talk to our children directly becomes their inner voice. We are constantly programming and being programmed by our environment.
But look, this programming can take a really negative turn if we aren't careful. Overthinking destroys you from the inside out, and at its core, it is just a form of fear. It becomes incredibly dangerous when your brain combines it with anticipation, emotion, memory, perception, and imagination. Your brain just starts running endless destructive simulations based entirely on that fear.
And while we learned earlier that hiding your feelings might mean you care deeply, you have to be super careful with absolute denial. Pretending that you simply don't have feelings of anger, sadness, and loneliness, that can literally destroy you mentally. It's a daily habit of emotional suppression that eventually just causes your whole mental system to break down.
Fortunately, there's a fun little antidote to all this heavy emotional masking, and it might just be your most cynical friend. Yep, the research shows that people with a sarcastic personality are actually more honest with their friends. So the next time your friend hits you with a sarcastic remark, just remember, they are actually providing you with the most honest, transparent dynamic in your social circle.
Ultimately, all of this science leads to a really empowering conclusion. Faking confidence can positively influence your brain chemistry and change your life. You can literally hack your own brain. By adopting confident daily habits, whether it's walking a little faster, smiling a bit more, or consciously projecting assurance, you physically alter your internal chemistry to match that outward behavior. It's a real game changer.
And all of these daily habits, the walking speed, the typing, the smiling, these emotional responses we've talked about, they all culminate at the very end. I want to leave you with a haunting but deeply fascinating final thought. When a person dies, they have exactly 7 minutes of brain activity left. And what does the brain do with those final 7 minutes? It's the mind playing back your memories in a final, vivid dream sequence. Everything you've typed, eaten, walked through, and felt playing one last time. It really makes you think about what kind of habits and memories you're building today, doesn't it? Thank you for exploring the science of our minds with me in this explain.